Hi, this is Mearns here. I'm just gonna do a wee tutorial for my cover of the Smith song How Soon Is Now. Some of you have asked for that, so hopefully I'll be able to bring you through it. I had to actually have a look at the video myself to see if I can still play it. But we'll just kind of go through it section by section and maybe hopefully hit on some spots that are general, you know, solutions or techniques or even musical things, and use it as kind of an opportunity to talk about those too. Okay, so usually when I do a cover, I'm trying to avoid being literal to the actual cover itself. So this is one of those examples, you know. I'm trying to kind of get the song and kind of remove the things that are maybe the musical things that the song relies on, you know. So if it has like a famous riff, I'll try and kind of remove that riff and or do it in a different way and look at it from a different paradigm, you know. So and for great songs, they always hold up and they always give you something, you know. Great songs have this kind of charge and power to them that feeds your inspiration and kind of feeds your imagination. So this is one of those ones that's a wee bit profoundly different than the original, partly because I just love the original so much it would be silly to just do it, you know, as it is. The original's kind of in this kind of mixolydian mode, just a basic kind of rock and roll one chord, which just means it's like a major chord with a flatted seventh, you know. So it's kind of like if I take the capo off, I'm not exactly what sure key it's in. I think it's like F sharp, like sorry, it's a drop D. It's that kind of thing. So with my version, it's I changed the tonality to be mostly kind of purely minor, and then I introduce, when I start singing, I kind of make it ambiguous and bring it into like a major area. So the same idea that most blues has and most a lot of songs have, major minor ambiguity. So let's just talk about the techniques a wee bit. Or just let's actually start at what the key is. I put the capo on the 4th fret, and you can put the capo anywhere or not use a capo, just depending on your voice. You can try it just in kind of a D minor type thing. Feel free to do that. So when I talk about fret numbers, we're going to pretend that the capo is 0, right? It's the only kind of logical way to think about it. That way you can, if you change the capo somewhere else, it'll still make sense. So I'm in a drop D tuning, which just means that the normal low E string is tuned down to a D. So if you want to play along, make sure you do that. And I'm tuned to the video, I think. I'm not sure if I'm actually in tune or not, but you can tune to me now if you want. Okay, so drop D, and then I'm using the basic technique. The foundation of it is what I describe in the video, the most useful finger picking pattern, you know. So if you want to learn more about that, check out that video. And so what it is kind of a back and forth thing between a thumb and then a finger, and then a thumb and a different finger, and it gives you this nice kind of balanced, shaky back and forthiness, almost like a wee mini strum. So this one is slightly modified though, you know. So this is in a way kind of like an advanced finger picking thing. So one of the things you can do when you get a basic finger picking pattern like this back and forth thing, you can embellish it by doing like slurs, you know, hammer-ons, pull-offs, what we call slurs. So you pluck the string and then you initiate another note with your left hand. So that's what I'm doing with this opening kind of gambit here. And because of the pattern, it creates this little other counter melody thing, almost like a string part. And so I'll play that for you now, and we'll kind of explain that. It goes like this. Okay, so what I did there, if I did it without the hammer-ons, it would just be like this, you know. One of your fingers on I guess your second finger on the 3rd fret of the 4th string. This is a great thing about finger picking. You can put one finger down and you can be playing a very emotive chord pattern or arpeggio. So what I'm doing is I'm hitting the low D there, and then coming up with my I finger, and then hitting the A string, the 5th string with my thumb, and then the open G string with my middle finger, M. And so when you put it into the pattern, it has this kind of suspended chord, or a kind of an appoggiatura, you would call it in classical. So that's something that's like an enhanced dissonance, you know, not like a random meaningless dissonance, but like a beautiful dissonance. So it's the 4th note of the scale kind of yearning down towards the 3rd. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and it wants to be 3. So you get this that's going on. So that's kind of generating its own kind of emotional turbine. And when you repeat it like that, and when your fingers are hitting it on the upbeats or the offbeats, it kind of creates this almost other voice, you know, and it creates a hypnotic kind of thing. So that's what I'm thinking, or, you know, when you're in the act of making it up, you're not really thinking, you're just kind of present, receiving it, I guess. So then that's the general idea, and then just to make it you know, a little bit fancier, so I'm just doing the pattern, and once the pattern hits the 4th string with the I finger, I go, I do a hammer on the 2nd fret, and then it's like a compound slur where I slur on the 2nd fret and then the 3rd fret in one movement. So I'm only plucking it once. And it has a rhythm to it, bum ba dum ba, bum ba dum ba, you know, so it has its own wee kind of character to it. And then I'm hitting the G on the open string, but that's just part of the pattern. I'm not like deliberately thinking go bum ba dum ba ba dum ba. It just works out that way. And I'm staying on that F natural there. And then we get to the kind of the echo of the actual song itself, which is a very strange thing. It kind of makes the song. It's one of the things that makes the song so enigmatic and wonderful. It musically, what's happening is you have the 3rd of the scale, and it's a little stranger when it's in its kind of Mixolydian you know, because what happens is we have a minor 3rd here, you know, so it's kind of got this going down to the 2nd of the scale, and then it's got the blue note. So the blue note is kind of anything between the 4th and the 5th. So if I'm kind of playing like a bluesy scale, like, So it's that note in combination with the minor third. So it sounds like this. It's crazy sounding. It's when it's played with the slide. Obviously, one of Johnny Marr's kind of genius moments. It just sounds like this. Hard to describe. It's like some kind of wounded animal. But that's what's happening musically. You know, it's kind of. You know, that kind of cliche, but. With the minor third going to the second. Very, very strange and wonderful. These are the kind of things that you, as an arranger or as a lead guitarist or as a band member, these are the things that you should be like fishing for all the time. Little things that are completely essential. You don't want to waste your time doing too much noodling. You want to be always finding these things that are essential. True art is always eliminating anything that's unessential. So here with this, you've got this wonderful Johnny Marr moment. So I'm kind of putting it in a minor context. So it's not quite as strange, but it's just an echo of the original song. And because I've got this little chordal pattern that only requires one finger, it frees up my other fingers to be able to kind of reach over. See where I'm at? I'm on the 4th fret there, and then the 6th fret on the 2nd string. And this, you know, this is a little bit difficult. You know, at some point I'll talk about, you know, left hand technique, classical technique, but you need to kind of, to be able to play stuff like this, you need to be able to kind of have good alignment, we say in classical guitar, or, you know, good angle with your pinky. You know, a lot of people learn the guitar and they give all of the prominence to their index finger and kind of make their pinky stretch, which is kind of like making it harder for your weakest finger. So we want to try and align our fingers where the knuckle is essentially in the same line as the string, and kind of give the best benefit of the doubt to your pinky, your weakest finger. So maybe try a wee bit of that by itself, you know, with your 2nd and 4th finger, because if your pinky's too flat, it's going to be hard to not touch the next string, you know. So doing little intervals like this are going to be difficult, you know. So maybe try that first, you know. Try giving your pinky, like, make sure your fingernails like looking at you, and your pinky's on its tippy toes, and then you can play it here. And then I'm just sliding down. I'm not plucking it twice. I'm just plucking it once. Okay, so I do this wee thing. Then I'm switching over to the 1st finger to make these guys available. Right? And then I'm going to an F in the bass, well, with the 3rd fret, drop D. So I'm kind of creating this almost like a bluesy rock and roll kind of cliche. That's kind of the chord progression I'm creating, you know, like a F, G, D minor. Okay, I have a pentatonic bluesy thing. And so what I'm doing when I get on that F, I'm doing a slur, still kind of in the pattern, you know. Because the pattern is this back and forth thing, it has this kind of, it creates a kind of a melodic angle to it, you know. It, you know, bouncing off the open G string almost like a blues lick. And then I go up to a G, because it's drop D, right? 5th fret. And then this would be, if it wasn't drop D, this would just be a normal G chord, you know. And then I'm just doing the pattern on the, you know, the thickest, the bass strings. I'm playing this pattern and feeling it, I'm kind of giving a little bit of emphasis to that open 3rd string. So I'm kind of feeling, you know, kind of, that's what I'm emphasizing a wee bit, not overtly, but happens again. So that's like the intro, and then I just click it into the parallel major and make it a D major thing once the singing starts. It's almost like a reverse blues thing. By literally changing key, you know, not making it, you know, not just like a little entry into it, but it just goes into, like we're in D major. So you do that just by changing that minor 3rd to a major 3rd, and that's, you know, gives it immediately a major tonality. So shyness that is criminally vulgar. I am the sun and air. And back to minor 3rd fret. Nothing in particular. Okay, so when I start singing there, I immediately go into the major thing as a wee surprise, and then I kind of reinforce it with the harmonics, because if you play those harmonics on the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd string on the 7th fret, it creates like a D major triad, right? So all those notes are kind of fair game. And if you want to create suspension, you know, or like the 2nd of the scale, then you can hit the 5th fret too. And we'll talk about some of those things in a wee minute. So you've got this. You've got the B, you know, and the E here, and then you've got another B here, and then you've got the D major triad. So once I go here, I am the sun major, then I hit that F sharp harmonic on the 2nd string. And then I've got this free finger because the back and forth thing is really only using these 3. So this is like an extra guy, you know, that can be utilized for harmonics or whatever. I am the sun harmonic and the air, the shyness that is criminally vulgar. Sun and air, nothing in particular. So and then when I go throw it back into the minor by just shifting down to the 3rd fret, I do kind of a, you know, like that would be like a 2nd or a 9th I'm adding to that kind of, which isn't major or minor, you know, it's just kind of something that's a bit plaintive, or It's just throwing a bit of shade into it, you know, I guess. As the youngsters say these days. So it goes, I am the sun and the air of a shyness that is criminally vulgar. About to go to the minor. I am the sun and air of... So see, I'm touching the 5th fret there. And just a wee side note for harmonics. When you're aiming for a harmonic, I'll do a video just on this by itself, but when you're aiming for a harmonic, you don't aim for the middle of the fret. The notes don't start in the middle of frets. That's not how the guitar works. It's easy to think like that because we're thinking of the frets as targets, but you don't want to think of the fret as like a bullseye if you're playing darts, right? You want to think of the frets as miniature, like nuts. You see this here? So this is the nut here. This is exactly the same as the fret wire. The fret wire is just a miniature nut, right? So when you pluck an open string, you know, the note starts just after the wire or the nut. So when you aim for a note in general, it plays out a wee bit more in classical guitar. You want to aim for as you're looking at it, to the right side of the fret. So as you look down on the fret, aim for the right side of the fret from your perspective. The right side is the right side, okay? And that's going to keep it from buzzing. See, so if I play a note here, it's going to be great. If I aim for the middle, play it lightly, you know, it might buzz. It's risky, right? So you're not aiming for the middle of the fret really ever. You only do that when, you know, you just can't reach or something. So when we do a harmonic, this plays out even more extremely. When you do a harmonic, you want to not only aim for the right hand side of the fret, you actually want to aim right over the fret wire. And you'll get a clear harmonic, as opposed to, see, when I hit it in the middle, kind of barely comes out. It's not in the right place. You want to aim for it right over the fret wire. It's exactly the same principle with slide guitar. Okay, so when you want to play a slide note deliberately in tune, you know, sometimes you're playing it in a fudgy area to make it more expressive. But when you're aiming with a slide, I've got a wee slide here, I'll just show you. It's exactly the same thing. You want to aim for the fret wire that's on the right side. That's where the note actually is happening. So I'm aiming right over the wire. If you aim for the middle of the fret, it'll be out of tune. Okay. Sorry, that was a wee bit of a tangent. But the harmonics, that's important, because you'll just... you might as well get it good if you're aiming for it. So this one on the 5th fret especially, you know, as we get into these wee weirder ones, and they're higher ringing. See where my pinky is? It's not here or here. It's right over the fret. Okay. Alright, so first verse. I am the sun and the air of a shyness that is criminally vulgar. Going to minor. I am the sun and air of nothing in particular. You shut your mouth. How can you say go about things the wrong way? I am human and I need to be loved just like everybody else does. that's the chorus area. And so what I'm doing is I'm creating the basic, the relative major chord, the kind of F chord on the 3rd fret. When you're in drop D, it's very easy. You know, it kind of creates like a power chord for you. And then what I'm doing is I'm doing a wee bit of a line to counter the melody. Okay, so I'm starting with that B flat, the kind of the 4 of the chord. And then instead of resolving it down in that lower area where it would get a wee bit muddy, I just shift the octave, and instead of going B flat, A, G, F, I go up to the, I go B flat, and then the A here. So that's kind of like the counter melody. You shut your mouth. How can you say? Now when I go here, it's kind of like an A minor chord. I'm doing here with the E on the 2nd fret, the 4th string, and then a C here on the 3rd string, or the 5th fret, and then the part of the line is the F here, 6th fret, and then it's going to resolve into the open E string, you know, so it's going to go. You can see with my right hand that the pattern is kind of being maintained. And when I go up higher onto the E string, I'm just switching out the pattern part that was normally being done by my M finger for the A finger, because it's right there, you know. So this is just a wee bit more advanced, using that the most useful finger picking pattern, just putting it into play to where once we get comfortable with something like that, we can kind of use it more as just a foundation to build on and do cooler stuff on top of it. So that, if I play it kind of as block chords, it would go like, you know, A minor with a suspension, and then I'm sliding up to have like a wee D chord on the 4th and 2nd string. But what I'm doing is then I'm using the open G and open E as like a suspension. So it'll go, sorry. So it might be a wee bit hard to figure out, but struggle with it, you know. Nothing's going to do you any good just by painting by numbers. You want to train your ear. You want to train your kind of harmonic sensitivity. Okay, so I get to that D chord of sorts. And then I go to, it's kind of a double suspended F chord. If this is our F chord, we have to, you know, we're drop D, so we got to make the root note on the 3rd fret instead of the 1st fret. So I'm doing like a suspension, but doubly so, in 6ths. I've got the root note here, the root note here, and then, so it's almost like an inverted B flat chord. So that's 2 Fs on the outer strings, the open D string, and the pinky on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string. resolve it to this F chord. Okay, so I'll start again from the whole chorus. You shut your mouth, how can you say I go about things the wrong way? I am human and I need to be loved just like everybody else does. So goes from here to be loved, and then just like an A5 with no major or minor. I'm not playing the second string, I'm just playing until the line comes in, so it becomes this. Like A sus to A minor. And the pattern's just creating those lines too, because it's just generating repetitive string hits, you know. So if you move your fingers, it's going to create this Bach-like kind of pattern. I am human and I need to be loved just like everybody else does. And then back to the. And then what I do when I do the opening intro thing, because I'm using these fingers, I think probably just happened this way. Just like, because I'm coming from this A minor chord and I start the riff again, I'm using my middle fingers all of a sudden, and then this finger's free, and I probably just did this just out of instinct, where I'm plucking the open strings, which kind of creates this, you know, slightly jazzy minor chord with an add 6, you know, like kind of a James Bond-y chord, because it's got that Dorian 6, you know, raised 6, plus the second, plus the ninth, you know. So because of the finger picking and stuff, it doesn't come off as too jazzy. It's almost just this kind of like lashing out thing, but subdued in this subdued way. Which is something that you have to do when you're looking about and you're creating. You have to just try things, you know. You have to hopefully train your fingers to almost have a mind of their own, you know, and to try things and wander around. And if it doesn't work, you'll know very quickly, you know, if it sounds unpleasing, if it sounds nice, if it sounds emotive, evocative. You'll immediately know that, you know, and hopefully you'll respond to that. That's the only thing that, like, kind of musical talent is kind of having this good aesthetic ear. Oh, that's good. I like that, you know. Just the same as somebody that's funny, that just knows, oh, that's funny, you know, and then can grab it and put the lightning in the bottle. And so you're always kind of keeping your ear open for things and trying things, and if you like it, you like it, you know. If you like it, other people are probably going to like it. Not everyone will like it, but you got to try stuff. So that's just the first go around, and that kind of puts us into the first guitar solo area. We'll call it a guitar solo, for lack of a better word. It's one thing I love too about doing finger picking guitar and accompanying myself, is I can do like wee guitar solos that, you know, are kind of very restrained. Like if it was just the lead guitarist doing what I'm doing on top, it would be very restrained. And I'm not really, I guess you kind of grow out of you know, when you're a wee boy, you're wanting to do all the shredding and all the widdly stuff. But I think that's something that you should grow out of, you know, and you should be looking for these things that are these Johnny Marr things, you know, these essential things. So thankfully when I'm doing a self-accompaniment and I only have a couple extra fingers, it means it creates a limitation on me, you know, to where I can only use my guitar playing for good, you know, not for evil. And I can find something that is hopefully essential, that has a melodic quality, something that you could sing. Not that you can't play something fun and do a wee widdly thing just to get people's attention or break things up a bit. There's nothing wrong with that, and sometimes it's exciting and cool. But you know what I mean. We don't want to just be, you know, showy offy guitar players. We want to have substance. There's a difference between Chopin's hot licks and Franz Liszt's hot licks. There's a difference between Beethoven's hot licks and the lesser composers. You know, there's substance to it. There's emotion to it. So that's a bit of a, sorry for preaching at you there. So when I go into the first solo area, I'm doing this a melody that's just coming in, you know, and it just is born out of the pattern. It's born out of putting my fingers down. So and I'm also utilizing this over ringing sound, which is essential to playing the guitar beautifully, because the guitar, it's hard to play smooth, it's hard to play connected, or as classical musicians say, legato. It's very hard to play legato on the guitar. But because the guitar's notes die so quickly, they're so beautifully autumnal, and they're born and then they die, it means that you can kind of meld them together in a beautiful way. So if I play this F on the second string and then play the open E string, that is not an unpleasant sound. So if you're playing a different instrument like an organ or something, or even a distorted electric guitar, it might just turn messy, right? So I'm utilizing what I have in terms of keeping this pattern going. It's going F, E, G, F, D, or 1, you know. 3, 2, 4, 3, 1. Then I go to the major. And then, so I'm going back and forth, major, minor, and then I go back down to the minor, and I start doing this wee trill. So let's have a wee look at that. Because the accompaniment only requires one finger, it allows my other fingers to do stuff, you know, and most riffs and cool little things just come out of bored musicians, bored chords. So I'm here on the 3rd fret. So this pattern is still the major emotional thing, to go to da 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 da, and then this thing's coming in almost like a violin part, you know, with a tremolo, you know, like a string part. So I'm only using my left hand for that, between the 1st fret and the 3rd fret. So I'm not worried about it. I'm not trying to make it like prominent. It's not like a, you know, I'm not like making a big deal out of it. It's just kind of coming out of nothing, like just a wee texture. So that's over the minor third. And it's actually playing the same notes. It's going G, F, G, F, G, F, G, F, G. So it's echoing the thing that's going on underneath. And then I go into the major by bringing it up to the 4th fret. And obviously I can't do, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to do what my fingers can do. I'm going to try things. I'm going to come up with something. And then I have this kind of going back and forth between the B and the C on the 2nd string. 0 and 1. And that gives you a different tonality. That gives you kind of a mixolydian tonality. Right? A mixolydian mode is just the major scale with a flatted 7th. She once had me. Mixolydian. So I'm in this zone. Minor with this trill, and then mixolydian. And then I end up with a thing. The same phrase that I started with. And then I go to a variation of the Johnny Marr, but instead of doing it like this, I'm inverting it. I'm putting something that was on the top on the bottom. So this G sharp going to G natural, the blue note. I'm putting that down on the 4th string, so you can see that would be the 6th fret. And so they're both on the 6th fret. So instead of this, it's this. You see that? He asks rhetorically. And why I want to do this is because of this over-ringing idea. It's a very important idea, because both of these notes are both 1 fret away from the open strings. The 3rd string and the 1st string. So it almost creates that kind of strangeness that you'd hear in the original, which has a guitar that has delay on it and a lot of reverb. You know, this kind of wild sound because it's echoey and a big sound. It's highlighting the dissonance and the, just the kind of audacity of it. So I do the Johnny Marr thing, see here, and then I'm using the same note, the blue note, to create a much more normal blues lick in the bass, but it's with the over-ringing strings. Right? And it's still, you can see that the pattern's still. And then it goes up to like a G chord on the 5th fret. I don't even know how to play it. Okay, so F, D, F, and then I come up in a little mini bar. Right? Do you see that? I'm barring the G, and then the D on the 5th fret. And I've still got my blue note on the 6th fret. And then what I'm doing is I'm hitting the open D string, and then I'm I'm reaching up to this F on the 8th fret. Just kind of more of a pentatonic, bluesy thing, maybe to counterbalance all the strangeness that's been going on. And then I'm back to, always kind of getting it back to the square one thing. One more time. When you do that, obviously we're momentarily breaking the pattern, because I have to use I and A to pluck those two strings simultaneously. Then we're immediately back into the wee chick, 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 you know. Give me another angle. Sorry. You know, kind of sliding, you know. You want to slur, slide, bend as much as you can, and lead guitar playing, you know. It's a bit, push it towards, you want to be a bit more hand solo, less C3PO, you know. You don't want to just pick everything if you're doing like a bluesy lick. Okay, and then it goes back into the verse, so I won't get into that. And I just repeat it like I don't do the full version. That has another different verse. So then we'll just kind of go into the second solo area. If I can try and remember how that goes. Let me just back up through the chorus. I think I do that to start it off. Again. No, I might go to this next. So I do a version of the thing we did before. And I'm changing where it is, what place it's at. And this time I'm inverting the third down lower. So instead of, it's same notes, right? It's basically like the first one an octave lower, an F and a G sharp, going down to an E and a G natural, or an A flat, whatever you want to call it. And then I've got an E there, and then an open G. So it starts here. Just to do something a wee bit different. And then to do something different, what I do is I'm creating like a harmonic ambiguity by putting this C sharp in the bass, which kind of turns it into this, it's almost like an A7 chord, but with this stubborn tonic note in the bass, like something that you might hear in like a Bach prelude or something. Right? So I'm kind of utilizing where the Johnny Marr riff landed to create something that is maybe you wouldn't hear in a pop song. And then I further, I'm talking about like it's kind of schizo or something. I further the ambiguity by playing a flat seventh, which is, you know, something that's in the bluesy stuff, you know, like the Jimi Hendrix chord. You know, it's got a major third and a minor third as well. So it gives it that wee bit of a strangeness. So minor seventh, minor six, and then what we have here is a little bit of a suspension type thing where we're not revealing the minor third of the D minor chord. We're playing the second and E instead. And then it's doubly suspended. And obviously I'm using my voice as well as part of the guitar solo type thing. When you get in a pattern like this and you know where your fingers are, it can free you up to kind of sing and allow your voice to be kind of a lead guitar as well. You know, so I'm just reinforcing it and not keeping it with my fingers. It's a very kind of nice type of song to sing too, you know, because I like to, you know, it's all just, it's like the closest thing I would do to doing yoga or something. It's like this, you're letting your breath out in this very easy, controlled, tempered way, you know, that it feels really good. It's like forcing you to breathe in this nice way. And it's a great trick to just sing what you play. You know, if you have a line, like a counter melody or a line, and it's in an instrumental part, try singing the thing that you're playing, and it just makes it alive more. And then I do the same idea up higher, and I bring the wee trill idea back, but on the first string, just so it goes. I have, instead of this C sharp being down here, it's on the third string, 6th fret, and then I have the minor 7th on top. So I have the exact same harmonic idea, which is very dissonant when you think about it. But in the discipline of the flow, a lot of those things can be fudged out, and it can become meaningful dissonance. So I'm just doing a trill here, as you can see, which if your fingers are aligned, doesn't have to be a hard thing or a stressful thing, because your fingers are already there, and you're just hitting the string and then kind of plucking it a little bit. You're not just touching and releasing. There's a wee bit of a pluck, so it's a little circular, elliptical. And then what I do then is I kind of turn this into kind of like a blues turnaround with just keeping the trill going, because it's like, you know, this kind of shape, you know. So it starts up here. voice is going in counterpoint to the descending thing, and that's just something you do instinctively. You just have to, you know, you can't really teach people what to sing or even what to play. You have to just do things a lot. You have to spend a lot of time with your instrument. There's no shortcuts. You have to sing a lot and try things out and allow yourself to sing. So, so it's a little strange part, but it's the same thing as this part. That one resolves earlier. I'm going to go up. The difficult thing when you're doing a wee trill like that is to disassociate it from your right hand, because you're obviously doing something kind of very rapid and almost unmeasured. And the right hand has to, you'll have a tendency to want to speed up your pattern to be led on by the trill. So you kind of have to tell your right hand to kind of chill out. Just keep the hypnotic thing going. And I kind of crescendo on that last one, bring it up a wee bit in intensity, so I can kind of drop down the original riff in a very stark way, a very suddenly quiet way that feels, you know, very, it gives kind of an alienating effect. So loud and then loud and quiet. So it's got a little bit of kind of anger to it, a little bit of, you know, like, you know, somebody, the chord has been judged wrongly or something. Sorry, screwed it up. I think I do that wee riff at the end again just to kind of play it out. So, don't really know how to recap all that. You know, you can zoom into the part you're trying to work on. I'm trying to work on some kind of, get enough content up here for you guys that'll be useful, and work on writing stuff out, though I'll probably do that for like a kind of a Patreon type membership thing, as much as I would hate to, you know, charge people or whatever for. But if you're really interested in something, you know, a wee Patreon thing will be available soon, for like $5 or something a month. The price of a cup of coffee, for dear sake. You gotta help me feed my children. And then I'll write out all the tabs for these things, and have it all spelt out for you, and lots of wee extra bonus-y things, you know. So again, you know, if you're just coming to this, please like and subscribe. If there's musical things that you're curious about, write a wee comment. Not, you know, don't be afraid of sounding stupid, or I'll just know what people are curious about, or if you don't understand something, I'll hopefully do it in another video for you. Okay, so be safe, look after your loved ones, look after for maybe some of the elderly people around your area. Try and keep them safe too, you know, check in on them without giving them a virus, and be safe, and I will see you soon. Toodaloot.